really cool people on the list for our stuff. So we're going live right now, and I'm going to just let my audience on YouTube who because they get notified if I go live. And then
Okay.
I'm
Do
going
I
to
look
hit,
okay?
you look gorgeous.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to hit record. Well,
All
I'll
right.
I'll hit record in a second, actually. Um, because the replay, hello YouTube. I'm going to start the show in just a second. This is our new show. If you want to talk to us in the super chat, it's there. I've got it open. I'm going to share with Facebook, and then I'm going to hit the record button. We're going to make it real natch. All right. Okay, we are starting live on YouTube. Join in the super chat. And I can see the super chat, so that way we don't get distracted, but I can answer questions.
Perfect.
Okay.
I'm gonna put do not disturb on.
Yep.
So
Okay.
I'm not disturbed.
Right.
I don't know how
Right.
people still get through that. Like they still disturb the hell out of me
Right. I
when they're
know.
not supposed to.
Okay, so I notified everybody in the group, and then the replay will go up on our actual individualized Facebooks.
All right.
Because I will record the replay here in a second so that we can start going. But we are live on YouTube. So
Oh,
I
look at
don't know.
us.
Look at us live on YouTube. I don't know if anybody's watching yet. I can't see that one watching now. It's me. So, okay. All right, YouTube, if you're watching and you're watching the replay, we are just getting started with our new show. And I'm going to press record so that we can get this party started, baby. All right. All right. Everybody has been notified in the group. All right. We're
You're on
recording
it.
it. Yep. We're recording it to the computer. All right. You ready?
I'm
One and a
ready.
two and a one and a three. Welcome,
Yay. Okay.
everyone. Hello. Hello, hello. Welcome to Down the Rabbit Hole with Sapphire Soul and Morning Moon. My name, of course, is Coach Lacy, and I have my beautiful co-host here, Alissa, and we are going down the rabbit hole. This is our first episode, so we are just going to introduce ourselves and have a little chat about all the things that are coming up. Please stay tuned. We will have a schedule for you guys soon. We are changing it up a little bit so that we can go a little longer. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce myself and then we will get going here. So for those of you who don't know me, hi, my name's Coach Lacy, and I am an integrative wellness, life, and business coach, and I've been in the industry since 2008. I started my journey as a humble medical assistant student. Actually, I was a nursing assistant student at the local community college. I got a work study job with a naturopathic clinic here in town in 2008. And I began my journey into health and wellness and coaching. I became a certified life coach, excuse me, a certified business coach. Oh my God, a certified health coach. See, I'm not scripted today, so we're off the rails already. I became a certified health coach in 2012 from the Integrative Institute of Nutrition. And that's out of New York, but it was online. I was an office manager in naturopathic medicine until 2023. My story is very long and we will really get into it. If you want to know more about it, you can always visit my YouTube channel, Wellness with Watson. It goes really deep into the nitty-gritty. But long story short, as a teenager, I was a drug addict. I was specifically addicted to meth. I was a Satanist. I grew up in Wyoming, and my family were devout Christians, and I strayed from the path thinking that I knew everything, of course, as a young lady. I went to rehab when I was 17 years old. I turned 18 in rehab, and I ended up going to live with my grandma, or well, going to live next to my grandma who ran low-income apartments in a small town in Wyoming. So I got my first apartment for $25 a month, which is like
That's
totally
amazing.
unheard of. I know. But in the process of all that, I met my ex-husband who used to be used to be a meth cook and a drug
Oh,
dealer. And so I got out of rehab and went right back into doing drugs. Um, Much to my poor parents' dismay. And now that I have my own stepdaughter who is 18, I would be mortified at my I would be mortified at my own, just at myself. Some of the things I've walked through are pretty ridiculous. We're gonna get in on that. But as I said, I used to be a Satanist, and then when I got married, to my first husband, um, well, this is a long story, Alissa. So we're both gonna be sharing our long stories. So
I'm
I
here
lived.
for it. Like, I didn't know all
Oh,
this stuff, so I'm like,
oh,
first
good.
time.
Okay.
Tell me
All
more.
right. All right. So, okay. So when I was 18 years old, I got out of rehab and I had gone to rehab for methamphetamine. And I had my grandma come to my mom's house and they told me I was going to go shopping in Casper. And I
Ooh.
lived in Gillette and they ended up checking me into the Wyoming Behavioral Institute. And there I was diagnosed with oppositional defiant disorder.
One of our sons was diagnosed with that a long time ago. ODD. Yeah.
Yes. And they found out that I had been doing a ton of meth. I turned 18 in that program, and my grandma checked me out because I was like, I'm done. We're done with
How long were you
this.
in there?
A couple months. Couple months. Yeah, good couple months. And I got out of there, didn't actually graduate the program, but I got checked out. And I ended up going to live, like I said, next to my grandma. She was the apartment manager at a low-income apartment complex.
My aunt was an
And
apartment manager too, totally random, but I didn't live there for $25 a
yeah,
month. I'm just seeing all the weird little like
I know we have
synchronicities between us, but
so
and the
much
differences,
in
but
common. It's crazy, dude. That's
I
why we're
love it.
doing this show, everybody, because her and I, like, we have so much in common. We didn't even know that we live near each other, and we totally,
Mm-mm.
like, we're
And
within,
you know
like,
why I
what,
love
2 hours?
Leavenworth? Like, where are you
Yeah.
again?
I'm in
Leavenworth-ish.
Wenatchee. Yeah, I'm in the greater Wenatchee Valley. Yeah, and
And
you're,
I'm in Marysville, Washington. So like
yes.
25, oh, 30 minutes, something like that from Seattle. So
Yeah, so we're like 2 hours away.
we are. We should totally get
Yeah.
together in person and do this. That would be kind of fun.
I know, I know. And I didn't even know when we started talking that you were had worked in like with a mentor that was a naturopath. And that
Yeah,
was
that was
totally wild.
Richard Bartlett,
Yeah.
Dr. Richard Bartlett at Matrix Energetics.
Yep. Yep.
His
So,
book.
oh, I
And
love
anyway,
it. I love it. I
but
love
yeah,
that.
keep going.
Mm,
I'm
yeah.
listening.
Oh yeah. So anyways, I met my ex-husband through drug deals and I
Best
ended
way to
up.
meet someone.
Oh, best way, best way. I was 18 years old and I
My,
was finishing high school.
oh, sorry. Keep
No, you're
going. I
good.
was
No,
just
you're good.
gonna,
You're good. No, you're good. It's so much. I mean, like it's so much. So my story's really long, but um, I ended up getting in trouble for, I went to jail for a time because I ended up getting in trouble for 20 pounds of marijuana and
oh
arms
shit.
dealing and
Look
meth
at
dealing around
you.
the
I had
house.
no idea you were such a like recovering badass.
Oh God.
I
Yeah.
mean,
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've been to jail a few times. That wasn't my only time in there, but I've been to jail a few times. So then I ended up getting married. We'll fast forward a little bit because we were on probation, blah blah blah, and I ended up getting married and I moved out to Washington the very
how old were
next
you when you got
day.
married?
20. I was
20.
20
Okay.
years old. Yep. And we got married. I moved out here to Washington the day after our wedding because I was faced with a choice. My mom had basically on the way down the aisle had said to me, "Hey girlfriend, don't want you to marry this boy. I will pay for everything, take you to college, take you to Hawaii. Please don't marry this person." And I was like, "Lucky Bob." And I ended up
ODD,
getting.
right?
Yes, exactly. ODD, right? And my dad had come down from Washington and he said, "Hey, I noticed everyone in your wedding party is high on meth. If you would
Oh
like
shit.
to get away from this, you have to come with me like tomorrow, like the day after your wedding. You got to announce it at your wedding and we're leaving." And because he's like, I need help with my kids, the twins. My little brothers were born when I was 15 years old. They were identical twins. And so I announced at the wedding that we were moving and we moved the next day and I'll never forget my grandma was kind of like my person. She was my person. She was the only person in the world that like loved me for everything no matter what. And like she's a wild bitch too and it was like her story is incredible and I'm writing a book on it right now.
We're both
Um,
writing a book right now, which I
are
love, and
we?
we didn't know. Yes, I'm like halfway through. It's not done, but
What are you writing a book
yes,
about?
about my crazy life and all the
Same.
amazing stuff. Like literally, I have like probably like 50 stories. Like I could write two books just on like the crazy, just weird stuff about
Oh my God. See, synchronicities. We keep on finding stuff that
my vida loca.
I know, we need to hang out. Yeah, and so I remember my grandma waving to me and being like, it was just like such a moment to like drive out of that trailer park because I was living in this horrible trailer park. My poor mom. Oh my God, my poor mom. Mom, if you're watching, I'm sorry. I love you. I've
You're
been
different
so
now, though.
horrible.
I don't
Oh my
think you'd
God.
be where you are if it
Yeah.
wasn't for, I know I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for everything I've been through either. Like
Girl.
it really does. We get to choose, right?
Yeah.
You made that choice. So how long did it take for you to get like fully clean and like,
Oh, fully clean? That's a, I just,
well, okay, clean
okay.
from meth.
Yeah, clean for meth. So I came out to Washington and my dad had just gone through a divorce and he had joint custody of my little brothers who were like 6 at the time. And um I there wasn't I didn't have connections out here. And the last time I actually did meth was here, but I hated it and I just never did it again. But I got really into like festival
Good for
drugs.
you. That's hard.
Yeah. But it was hard. It was. I'm like, I guess I'm part of like, I think it was like 15% of people who recover. But I didn't actually stop doing drugs. I just stopped doing meth. And I started like
Well, it's a
drinking and
start.
smoking instead. Yeah. But I found naturopathic medicine. I was going to, so I was working at Arby's. I worked at Arby's
You know
here
what? That's so
forever.
weird. I was working at like, oh no, I worked at Wendy's first, but then
Oh,
I
that's so
worked at a
funny.
grocery store for like ever until I
Yeah, and
found
I
the
felt like
choice.
I was never gonna get out of there. And I remember sitting on the steps on the phone with my mom, and I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna go into medical assisting. And she was like, do it. And so I went to the college here and I enrolled in a CNA class, and they had a work study job, and it was at a naturopathic clinic. And I'd never heard of a naturopathic clinic before, and I
How
didn't
old were
know
you
what it
again?
was. I was 22.
So fucking weird. I think that's how
I
old I
know.
was when I started
It's
at Matrix
2008.
too. Mine was
Really?
2006, and
I
I don't
was
know
always
how
the
old I am. I'm
youngest
41.
one. Oh
Keep
yeah.
going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was like always the youngest one in all the like everywhere. And like now it's like wild because I'm like, whoa, I've been doing this a long time. Um and I mentored under, so I thought it was a pot clinic because back then medical marijuana was a thing, and like the lady who was assigning the work study clinic didn't she didn't know really what it was. She just knew that it was like herbs, and she's like, just go there. And you know the funny thing, I had two interviews lined up. I had one to be a manager at Starbucks, and I slept through my alarm, didn't make it.
You weren't
And then
supposed to do it.
I know, and then I ended up going to this clinic, and they weren't going to give me the job because I was gothic, and I had 11 piercings in my face. I had my 9 in my ear. I had my ears done. I had my nose, I had my tongue, I had my eyebrow, and I went there, and the doctors were like, Dr. Piscopo, the hiring doctor, he was like, I don't know if this girl's going to work, and the insurance billing specialist was like, give her a chance, let her do an actual a work interview and see how she files the charts and see how she handles herself. Well, I guess I did really well because they hired me, but the contingency was I needed to quit smoking cigarettes because I was a Marb Red girl at the time. And I needed to take out my piercings. And so I did it, and I ended up like loving it. And I worked there from 2008 until my brother, one of the twins, killed himself in 2013 or not
Oh,
20. Yeah.
I'm so
Holy
sorry,
crap.
honey.
No, it wasn't 2013. I'm sorry. It's 2017. 2013 is when I met my current husband. But that's a long story. So that's how I got my start in naturopathic medicine. And then it just kind of went on from there. And yeah, so Hunter, a lot happened in between all of that. I was really into, like I said, festivals, raves, like doing drugs on the side. I smoked weed really heavily, morning, noon, and night until just about 5 weeks ago.
I say, yeah, like a month ago, right? 6 weeks.
Yeah, it's been 6 weeks. Yeah,
How do
6 weeks.
you
Yeah,
feel?
awesome. I feel this like I
Do you
feel
feel like
on.
clarity coming back in?
Yes. I feel like I actually have the motivation, the clarity. I feel like I'm on fucking fire. Like I
I
feel
love
like
that.
I
I
know
feel it.
it's so
Kind of numbs
good.
our senses a bit, right? Like I think I've also
Yeah.
justified like using like plant medicine, right?
Yeah.
Not like, weed.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm like, oh, well, at
Yeah.
least I'm not doing what I used to be doing. It wasn't meth for me, it was opiates.
Oh.
That was my thing. So,
So tell me how
but
you got started, what your we can go in more. Like if anybody wants to watch my story, I have it on YouTube on Wellness with Watson. We can talk more about that if there's later, but
I
I want to
like it.
hear
I'm
about
like
you.
super into it. I'm like,
Oh my
when you
God.
talk about me, I want to talk about you.
There's so much more though. And it's like, I guess I'll give you bullet points because as we were talking beforehand, it's like, how do you put 40 years into a like 5 minute segment?
You
It's
can't.
like,
That's what, yeah, it's like, how do you want me to go like in depth about my story? Because we're going to be here all day. Like, seriously, nobody
right.
has time for that. So,
Right, right. So I guess the bullet points after that, I just really wanted people to understand where I was coming from with like I was a total like I was a rebel like I was just like rebel cause man. I was totally like heavy metal, like gothic, like
I can
just
totally see it. You got to like post a picture or
oh
something
I
to let me see
will, I
your
will.
transformation.
Yeah, yeah, I will. And so in 2013, I I left my ex-husband for my current husband, and was calling me. Like I went to Barter Fair in 2011. You know what Barter Fair is, right?
Mhm.
The Okanagan Family Fair. Woo! That's like my spirit home. I went there in like 2011, the year my aunt died, my first big death. Um, God, I'm even going to cry now just thinking about it. Sorry.
No, don't be
My
sorry.
yeah, dude. My aunt died suddenly. She had gotten uterine cancer like within a week, dude. Like we found out that she had had uterine cancer
Wait,
that spread to her uterus to her lungs, and she died. She like died.
how old was she?
42.
I had a dream that my aunt had uterine cancer. She had something and she had to like get a hysterectomy. We weren't like in contact. And
Really?
it was actually, yeah, it didn't spread. They were able to contain it. But just another random weird, like, what?
Weird,
Like,
dude.
okay.
That's crazy. Yeah, my Aunt Shauna, God bless her soul, rest her soul. Dude, that is the saddest story ever, and it's not really mine to tell. It's actually my cousin's. So my cousin was born January 11th, and I was born February 11th, both of the same year. So we were always very close.
Mhm.
And she had like the perfect parents and like the perfect, not I don't want to say the perfect life, but like,
It
I
appeared
grew
that
up
way, maybe.
yeah, it seemed like that. I mean, like she really had a good life. They were good Christian people. Like like when you think of Christians, like these were the people. Like they had their things. They were like, sometimes, like sometimes they, everybody has their things, but like God, they were such good people. And they had been together since they were like 12 years old. And
Oh,
I know, and
my
this is my
heart.
mom's younger brother. And oh, I know, I like want to cry. And like Brittany had like the best life, and they like got to travel all over. They'd always go to Hawaii together. Her dad and her she had a red Hummer and he had a black Hummer. And
Oh,
I know my family owned Vigils Trucking, like a water hauling company for oil. They were in the oil business, like oil field business. Um, and my mom was the oldest of my mom's story is wild too. My mom was the oldest of four children, but
that's
she
so
had
weird. You're tripping me out. I'm gonna have to like
yeah.
weave into my story in a second here
I
because it's just
know.
weird. Like, I feel like that might be a good
Yes,
segue in a minute
segue.
here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So Shelda died, and I had a vision that like I was at Barter Fair, and I had done more acid than I've ever done in my whole life, and like some guy just gave me a dropper full, and I had this vision by the fire of this guy and God came down and said, "You have another." And I was married at the time, and I was like,
oh shit.
yeah, yeah. And I had a vision of a guy, a really tall guy with suspenders and a little girl, and standing in an apple orchard. And before I had got married to my ex-husband, I had gotten a fortune cookie that said, "Hidden in a valley beside an open stream, this is a place you'll find your dream." I still have that fortune. And long story short, I ended up meeting this guy on Facebook. And like he just like I don't know. It was at first I was like, leave me alone, leave me alone. And then one night I couldn't quit thinking about him. And I just had to meet him, right? I like just needed to get to know him. And so I went and I drove to get to know him. And when I pulled up, I was like, oh no, oh my God. Um I'm in trouble because I'm married. I'm not happy in my marriage. And this guy, it just like lights me up so much. I'm like, oh my God.
I can
And
feel the anxiety. It makes me anxious for some
yeah,
reason.
yeah.
I
And
feel like my heart is like opening and like anxious at the same time. Yeah.
dude, yeah. And like come to find out we had all these synchronicities too. And we ended up like I don't know. We just ended up falling in love. And within a week, I went to my ex-husband. I said, hey, I'm in love with another guy. I can't do this. And we got a divorce. And it was really tragic and horrible, long story short. And then Jesse and I, my current husband, we were, so this is where the fortune cookie comes in. I was looking for a new place to live. And I was like, okay, like I called this number on Craigslist. I had gotten this thing and it said, it was on Douglas Street and I had moved here from Douglas, Wyoming. I'm like, that's weird. And I called the lady and she's like, there's no, I didn't put an ad out on Craigslist, but I do have a rental. Why don't you come see it? So I went to go see it, and it was in the middle of an orchard next to the river, and it was on Love Lane. And I
No, it
showed her
wasn't.
the
Shut
ad.
up.
Yeah, I'm serious. I'm so serious. And Love Lane. And I showed her the ad, and she goes, "You called the wrong number." So I was like, "Well, that's
Here we
history.
are.
Here we are." And so we ended up getting married the year after my brother. So my brother, I'm gonna wrap this up here. In 2017, my brother had 2015, my brother was diagnosed with stage 4 rhabdomyosarcoma, one of the twins, Hunter. And he
Is that a form of cancer?
cancer of the muscles, of the fibers of
Mm,
your muscles. And he
sounds
beat it.
painful.
He was treated by Children's Hospital and he beat this cancer. And he had a momentary lapse of reason in February 23rd, 2017, and his twin found him in his bed, not alive any longer. He had taken 3 bottles of Unisom and it killed him.
Oh,
After he beat cancer and he had the Make-A-Wish Foundation. He was the first recipient of the Amazon Make-A-Wish Foundation award. Um, just totally tragic, right? And
I'm so
yeah,
sorry.
and it's okay. And then after that, I mean, it's not okay, but I
I
deal
know.
with well, yeah. And so, anyways, that's what kicked it off. And then my uncle, the one, so then that happened in 2018. My husband and I got married. It was the most beautiful day of my life. And then, 2019, I flipped my Jeep. I almost died. And then like 2 months later, on February 15th, my uncle that was married to my aunt, my cousin's father, my uncle Mike, he died suddenly from a medical mishap.
Oh,
From the hospital gave him the wrong medication, and that was just like that kind of threw me to a tailspin. And
yeah,
so
that's
yes, and then months later, my friend's baby died from medical mishap at Barter Fair.
ugh.
Uh, and la 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 la. And so that, and then my grandma died. My dog, I found my dog dead, and like, and of course 2020 happened. That's a whole thing. And
We have
then
a whole episode on 2020.
oh God, we need to. And then just a couple years in November of not last year, but the year before, my grandma died. And
Oh, I'm
so
sorry.
oh, it sucks. So that's my story. That's a little bit about my story and like where I'm coming from. And I just quit doing weed. And so I had been the religion. Okay, so the last touch point is the spirituality and the religion. So I had gone from Satanism. I was a Satanist. So I had gone from, let me back up. I was a Catholic, then I was a Christian growing up, and then I became a Satanist at 15. I grew out of that around 18 and became more of a Wiccan. And then stop, Jasper. And then I became a Wiccan. And then I was like a chaos magic practitioner until 2020 when I saw rituals against children and I started doing in 2020 I was hunting online predators for the social media ring and I
Look
saw
at
hell.
you.
Yeah, dude, it was fucked up. And I saw hell and I realized that if this evil is so real, um then the counter must be real. Then God must exist because if not, we are
Absolutely.
so screwed. Um,
It's that duality,
yeah,
right? You can't
yeah,
have the shadow without the light or the light without a shadow.
Exactly. All right. So that's yeah, exactly. So tell me about and then I became a Christian. And so right now I started going to a really controversial church. I was baptized again at Grace City Church, which is like a Christian conservative church, very controversial. But now my husband converted to Greek Orthodoxy and
Okay.
Christian Orthodoxy. And I was like weirded out by it at first, but now I'm finding my way to actually converting there as
We're gonna have to
well.
talk about that because I want to know, right? I'm
Girl.
super open to understanding and yeah. So
Yes. So tell me your story. That's enough about me. I want to hear about you.
I love hearing your story. I think everyone
I
else does
know.
too.
Well,
Whoever
I can't
is
wait
gonna
to
be
hear
here.
yours because this is about us, not just me.
It is, but I'm just along for the ride.
I
So,
love
okay.
it. No,
My
you're here to
name's
rap with me and cook in the kitchen.
we could cook. I probably should eat something today.
I know,
But
right?
so my name's Alyssa. I am a spiritual coach, hypnotherapist, and relationship coach, and I also have been doing this work since 2006 for the most part. And
Yeah.
let's see. Hold on, I'm trying to figure out where to start. Should I start like childhood, like how I grew up, kind of like, in between
Yeah, t
Catholic,
give us some
Mormonism?
context about the spirituality piece because we triggered a few people
We
to come
did.
out the gate.
And I got triggered too. I was like, shit, I'm triggered. So I need
Yeah.
to look deeper at why I'm triggered, right? Which
Yeah.
brought me to this whole perception of, wow, okay, that's what it is. It's that younger version of me that still needs a little bit of validation or compassion because I've been able, I'm going to start here. So my mom died when I was born. She's alive. She's alive today. But she had full on like near death experience. I think her heart stopped for like 2 minutes or something like that. She had to have an emergency C-section. I came early, like 6 weeks early. So when my mom passed, like I was still in her body, right? And
Mm,
I'm sure you've heard of people, right, with NDEs, right? They're usually more tuned in to
yeah.
something that's kind of unseen, like they're kind
Yeah.
of in between worlds in a sense.
Yes.
And I always thought it was interesting that my mom, despite having that near death experience, I mean, she talked about like the tunnel, the light, loved ones coming in and saying, it's not your time, you need to go
Mm,
back,
mm,
and then coming back into her body. And then I come out of it, right? They cut her open. I'm born. What I started seeing when I started praying or asking, right, was like, why isn't my mom more like spiritual or more, just into anything that I am, right? And I was given this in a dream, this vision that instead of that spark, like going back to her and like her having that and being more awakened, I guess you could say, more aware, it like came into me in some way. And I have been
mm,
tuned in my whole life. I never asked for it. I did not want it. I used to think it was a curse. I literally thought that something was like wrong with me, right?
mm, mhm,
Because I could see things and sense things that other people couldn't. It started with dreams, right? Which we
mhm,
don't have much control over. I mean, I can remember, I've always had really, really vivid dreams. Like, I can remember dreams as a kid that I think are memories because they're that vivid, they're that real. I remember my emotions. Like, it's actually kind of weird because it's like kind of hard to decipher like what's reality and what's the dream state. But my grandma, my maternal grandma who passed when I was 2, she started coming to me in dreams very, very young. I want to say she was like 2.5 when she passed. So I want to say the first one I really consciously remember was around 3 or 4. And I shouldn't have been able to really remember her, right? I was 2 years old when she passed, but we were really close, apparently. She died at 41 of she had open heart surgery. She had a whole bunch of health stuff going on. And anyway, so that's where it started. That's where my gift, my spiritual gift, I guess you could call it, started. I would
yes.
feel her energy. She would come to me during times of like distress and times when, because, I grew up an only child. My sister wasn't born until literally I was pregnant with my own first kid at 17.
Nuh-uh.
Swear to God, me and my mom were pregnant at the same time. Totally weird, totally
That's
random,
weird.
totally weird,
That's
right?
cool though.
So like
How old was
and
your mom?
38.
Oh
So
wow, okay.
my mom had me when she was 19, right? She was a single mom. I grew up with basically just my mom. She had a couple boyfriends, not the best choices in men, I will say. But, and I used to go to in between Mormon church and Catholic church. So like my
Oh,
aunt who I was really close to was Mormon, right? She like converted to Mormonism when she got married. And my mom also is the oldest of 4 girls.
okay.
And she, so my aunts were like a huge part of my life, like my upbringing,
Mm,
all three of them. And
mm-hmm.
my aunt, one of them got married at like 18 or whatever and converted to Mormonism. And I would go to church, I would go over to her house and have dinner with the missionaries. And I was always asking questions, right? Like
Yeah.
I wanted to really understand. I didn't want to just be told this is what we do because I watched her like really weird things like I can't have caffeine, I can't have this, I can't, and because it wasn't part of her religion, right? So I
Right.
would ask those questions that I feel like nobody was asking, and I'm like triggering everyone. The
Right.
missionaries are over, and I'm like 13, and I'm like, well, why isn't weed okay? Like it's a plant, it comes from God. I don't under, like
Right,
I
right,
would have
right.
those
Yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
crazy conversations. And then I also teeter back and forth between going to Mormon church and going to Catholic church with my grandparents. I had planned to be like baptized. You can't do it until like 8. Um, but then they quit going to church because there was something about some, like with the priest, like got some charges about sexual something with kids. So then they like quit going to church. And I want to say it was about age 14 when I had like the craziest experience, probably one of the craziest experiences of my life. Despite the fact that I had been basically tuning into the spirit realm beyond my control. I was actually scared of it for a long time. I felt kind of like like I said, like something must be wrong with me, right? And I didn't know
Yeah,
how to I didn't know how to navigate it, right? Because I would
right.
feel like I need to back up and say this part. So I've always been able to tune in like to my grandma. That's where it started. But then I started having like imaginary friends, basically. And I would like, before I could even write, I would dictate these stories that would come through so strong, like that, like I could not get the story out of my head. And then, of course, I then started writing like very, very young. I've always been writing all the time. I now realize I think I was channeling some story that it's the same way that I tune into somebody like, when I work with them. So it was like I had to get their story out, right? And then I would feel better.
Mm-hmm.
Um, at the age of 7, I started having migraines and aura migraines, right? Have you ever had one of those where you
Yes,
can
they
like see the
suck.
lights? Oh
And
my
then
God,
it
they
like
hurt so
makes you
bad.
blind.
Yes, I couldn't see straight. I would vomit. It was really bad.
Oh God.
The first time it happened, I used to associate bad
That's
dreams with my
crazy.
migraines, right? Because
Yes,
I
I could
had
see
my
that.
first like nightmare or whatever, and then I
Yes.
had this migraine the next day.
Yes.
So that went on for a couple months, and every time that I had them, I would see like the typical like the spots, but then I would notice like color around like my family members, right? Like my grandma and
Right.
my aunts,
Oh yeah.
and I didn't know like what it meant, right?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually even when I didn't have the migraines, it just didn't go away. I could basically see people's energetic fields, their aura, their bioenergetic field, whatever you want to call it, right? I could
Mm-hmm.
see it and I could feel it. Like I could tell how people felt without even saying it, or things that people like I would think of things in my head and then they would say it out loud. Just weird things like that, right? Like my
Right.
whole life.
Yeah.
So when I also had a problem with drugs, pretty much whatever, right? I was doing
Said
smoking
you
a
were
lot
doing
of weed.
opiates.
So I was kind of doing whatever,
How old
right?
were you when you started doing opiates?
Um, maybe maybe 15, maybe 15, 16. It was
That's
really,
young, bro.
right?
Yeah, 1 second. My dog is being a shit again. Hold on.
Okay.
Sorry, but
I
okay.
will be here.
1 second, 1 second. We quit. Ah, gosh, I'm so sorry. Every time
No,
you
don't
work
be.
with
It's totally
every
fine.
single time I have this dog, everyone that like he like every time I get online, he's like, I need to go out. And I literally just let him out before we were done. Anyways, you were 15 when you started doing opiates.
I was more, so I think my gateway was really weed, right? I
Of
started smoking a
course.
lot of weed. I was selling
Yeah.
weed. I
Yeah.
was hanging out with people that were older, not hanging out with good kids at all. Like I was just not. And one of the things was I wanted to kind of like fit in and feel normal, right? Like
Yes.
I remember writing a story, and it was like this funny thing, right? Because I used to write all the time. I went to like the young author several times, like as a kid, for like whatever
Yeah.
poetry
So
and
you're like
different
into
stuff.
English and stuff. Like,
Yeah, I've always
yeah,
been
yeah, yeah,
into
yeah.
writing. Um,
What year did you graduate?
I didn't. I got my GED after I had my
Oh,
son.
nice. What
So
year
like
would you have graduated? Like two.
2001. And instead I
Mm,
had a brand new baby and the 9/11 happened and blah 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 blah. But
You had a baby young, bro.
I did, and I've got 7 kids altogether. I don't know if you know that about me, but yeah,
7 kids, that's a lot.
it is. Trust me, I know.
And they're
Two
all
sets of
like
them
in
too.
your house, or have they
No,
left? Or
oh,
like,
no, no,
oh
no,
my God,
no.
how old's your oldest?
24. He just turned 24. He's a chef, and him and his
Oh my
girlfriend,
gosh.
fiance live not that far from us, right down the street in Lake Stevens. And
How old's your
yeah, they're doing really
youngest?
good. My youngest is 3. She just turned 3, and who was a complete miracle. And we'll kind of weave into that in a second. But
Yeah.
um, trying to think, wait, where was I at? Opiates, drugs.
Starting trying the drugs.
So I never went to inpatient, but I was like outpatient, right? Like in and out.
Yeah.
I got caught like selling weed at school. I also was into like acid and stuff like that and like mushrooms, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't really
Yeah.
do like when I think back, I guess maybe I wasn't doing opiates then. It was later on. Like there was a period in my 20s where I got hooked on them basically because my doctor was giving them to me for like my endometriosis. Like I had all of this like stuff
What?
going
For
on.
endo?
Yeah. Yeah, because I had like a ton of laparoscopies, right? And they
That's
kept,
wild.
yeah, it was. And they were giving them to me like jelly beans because I had
How
really
old were
good
you?
insurance. God, my daughter Lily, who's now almost 21, she was maybe 3, 4. I don't know. It was after, I think it was actually in the midst of the whole Matrix thing.
Hmm.
But yeah, so so it was really like weed and stuff like that. But and then I found my mom got married when I was 14, right? Absolutely love him to death, consider him my dad. But at that point in time, I'm like, who the hell are you? And why are you telling me what to do? Like, fuck this,
Yeah,
I'm
like
out,
get out of
right?
here.
Like,
Who
who are
are
you? You
you?
don't tell me what to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So just like you, I was super rebellious, very much wanting to like kind of do my own thing, make my own money, which I was pretty good at for, being as young as I was. I was pretty freaking like, I don't know, resourceful, I guess you could say. When ended up leaving my mom's house and moving in with this dude who was also a drug dealer, sold weed, right? Had a car, had money, had a job. So I'm like, yes, this is it. It's away from like the whole circle that I like grew up with. So I'm like, I don't want to be around on any of this, right? And so we ended up getting an apartment. Very toxic relationship. And we fucked around with drugs, right? Drinking and like mushrooms and weed was the big one. But he started doing like meth, like kind of behind my back, right? Like, and he just always had like these, I don't know, kind of shitty people around us.
Always,
Honestly, just
they're
just a lot
always
of shitty
there.
people.
Yeah, 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 they're
Yeah,
always shitty people.
yeah.
Yeah.
And with me growing up without a dad, right? Like I felt like I had this obligation to stay with him for my son. So I got pregnant at 17, right? So I'd moved out at 15, got a job at Wendy's, was working like a ton. That's when I did fuck around with meth for like 5 minutes, literally like a month, because he
Yeah.
was selling it, right? And
Oh, yeah,
so
makes
I
sense.
would sell it to the people that I worked
Yep.
with. And I'm watching everyone lose their fucking minds around me. I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna act like that shit, like no, thank you. So like I stayed away from it. Like I did it for literally like a month. And then I started note that's when I found that book, um, Behold a Pale Horse by William
Okay.
Cooper, right?
Yes.
Which
Oh
was like
my
a
gosh.
huge awakening
Yes.
thing for me
Yes.
because, talk about rabbit holes. That's a good book. Like if, talks about the New World Order, all that stuff.
Yes.
And when you're on meth and you're reading
Oh, then you're
something
like,
like that,
I
I'm
know.
like, they're poisoning me with the energy drinks. All this stuff is in this. Like, I was freaking the fuck out, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was able to like pull myself back and be like, okay, get your shit together, bitch. And like, you can't do this, right? So, and this was before my son was born, right? This is like about a year before he was born. And we were actually, my ex, we were like on the verge of like breaking up. Basically, we were like kind of, not a very good relationship. I'd get blackout drunk, and we'd fight, and it was just like a thing, right? Like not very healthy. Um,
Yes.
and his parents enabled him a lot, so he could never do anything wrong. So when I found out I was pregnant, that was like a big pivotal moment. Like I went from partying, being just, whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
to don't even smoke a cigarette around me. Don't like the night that I found out I was pregnant with my son, me and one of my lifelong friends and her boyfriend and my ex, like we got mushrooms, right? And a pregnancy test. I'm like, which one should I do first? And then I'm
Oh,
like, so I took the test. It was positive. I'm crying, freaking the fuck out, right? Everyone decides to get high on mushrooms without me. And I'm like, these are
that's the
assholes.
last thing
That's
you
so
want to
messed up.
do. Like, it's a good thing you
Right?
didn't
I
do
was
the
so
mushrooms
mad.
and then do the pregnancy test because you would have
Oh
been
my
like,
God. Yeah, that's the wrong way. They were trying to tell me that too. I'm like,
oh my
no.
God. Of
Yeah.
course.
Why
That's
would
what
you
they
tell me to do
always
that?
do.
What's wrong
Oh
with
my
you guys?
gosh. Stupid
Uh,
teenagers.
Fucking ridiculous. So yeah, I found out I was pregnant with my son Caleb, my 24-year-old, and everything really shifted for me then because it was like I kind of grew up overnight, right? Like I
Yeah.
suddenly was I was far more self-aware. I cared about the people that were around us. We ended up moving like out into the middle of nowhere in Arlington with his parents because we lost our
Mm.
apartment because him and my uncle who moved in with us,
How old were you?
I was I was 17 when I got pregnant. So he was 4 years older than me, right? So we had our own apartment at like I was 15, so he was like 19 or whatever, right? He
Oh
was.
my gosh.
Yeah. So we had this really nice apartment. My
You grew
uncle
up
moved in.
quick. You're an
I
adult.
did, so I'm telling you.
Yeah.
My uncle moved in. I didn't know that I kind of knew that they were doing drugs, but I wasn't like, I knew that they were selling them, right? I
Yeah.
remember opening a freaking canister, like the flour canisters or whatever. I open it,
Yes.
there's like a fucking like 8 ball of like meth, and I will never forget the
Sickest
smell
bowl
of
of
that shit. It
life.
was so
I
gross.
know. Sickest bowl of
Um,
life.
so I ended up finding out I was pregnant, and we had like drug dealers knocking on the door and shit, like ready to like fucking kill us. I have no idea, but it was scary as shit
Yep.
because they like
They
ripped him
owed
off.
money.
Yeah, they owed money, and I'm
They
like,
had
who the fuck is
money.
this
Give me
dude?
my
Like, what is
money.
going on? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got out of there, moved in with his parents. They bought a house in Arlington, so we're out in the middle of nowhere. So he was clean for a while, and he's
Yeah.
working, and he's doing okay. But I always knew that that like wasn't my person, and like I knew that like that yeah, it just wasn't my person.
Yeah.
And but I thought I had to stay because
Yep.
I didn't want to have my son grow up without a dad. But then I started realizing it was when my son was 2, and he actually picked up a baggie of meth from under my couch after he got put in jail for fucking domestic violence for like throwing shit and freaking out because I was trying to sleep at like
Yeah.
3 a.m. because I had to
And
get
he's
up.
all tweaking out.
Yeah, he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm sleeping, and like our kid is right here. Like, what do you mean? What am I doing? Like, I have to get up because I would get up 5 o'clock in the morning. This is before I didn't have a car at this point in time, so like
Yeah.
I would get up and take like 2 buses, go to work, send my son to daycare, and this dude's sitting there. We had got another apartment when Caleb was about a year old, so we moved
So
back
you're
to
like
Everett.
20 at this point, or like 19.
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Damn,
because
girl.
Caleb was 2. And we get back to, to Everett in this really ghetto apartment. He had had an eviction on his thing. So, and I, was now old enough to get my own place, right? So it was in the ghetto, right? But I was just excited to be out of his parents' house and have
Mm,
freedom again. So like I
mm,
transferred from working at a grocery store in Arlington all the way down to Everett, and from there. So we were together. I was trying to break up with him for like a year, trying to get him to move out, move out, move out. And then finally I'm like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, why am I wanting to stay here? I don't even like it here, right? Like turns like, and it's good that I left when I did because that night, so he goes to jail. My son, I'm cleaning, right? He picks up this little drug baggie and hands it to me. And I'm like, oh my fucking God. Like, what the
God,
hell?
dude.
I
Oh my
was
God. I would have lost my
so
shit.
I was
I
pissed.
would
I
have
like showed
lost my
like his
shit.
parents and nobody's fucking listening to me. They're like, so it looked like little shards of glass. I didn't know what it was. I guess it was something called glass, which I
Yeah.
was not doing drugs at that point. So
Yeah.
I didn't fucking know. I'm like, oh,
Not
what is
kidding.
this?
Yeah, it was the
Yeah, like I don't
premium
know.
stuff. This is the premium
Apparently.
stuff.
And he
Yeah.
became really good friends with this really big drug dealer in the area. And that guy, we had like like it turns out I found out after I left that he had like money. What is it called? Like like when they make money, like the plates or whatever, you know what I'm talking about? Like when people like make fake money. Like
Oh, yeah, yeah, the
we had
counterfeit
like the
money.
FBI like watching or fucking some shit like that, like some watching our
Damn.
apartment. I moved
Yeah.
out like in perfect
Did you
timing.
get raided?
No, actually, but
Wow.
there was some shit going on. I can't remember everything because I left. I fucking bounced out. I met my now husband, who I've
How'd
been
you
with
meet?
for
One second, let
21
me let
years.
Jasper in
Yeah.
really quick. Stupid. I'm sorry. Like, I love my dog more than anything, but he's always like in and out, in and out. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're done. But my husband's gone, or else I would. Hold on. Ah, come on. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Good thing it's right there.
Mm.
Lay
So I met
down.
my husband. That's like a whole story in itself, but I met
How old
him
were you?
at
21?
work. Yeah, 20. I want to say 20. I feel like I
And
was
and during
20.
this time, were you like in touch with your like your spiritual side, or were you?
Yes and no, but I was trying to really suppress it. I actually thought that I killed my friend's mom. so fucked up because I wrote this stupid story that was supposed to be a joke, like about, like when I was younger, like at 14, 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote this story and like it was supposed to be like the people we grew up with and shit and like what they would turn out like. Well, turns out I like said all this stuff about her being like a heroin addict and homeless and that her mom was gonna die and her dad left, like all this weird shit that actually fucking true as shit happened. Like she had a baby at 15, her mom died 4 months later, her dad abandoned her, moved to Puerto Rico. Oh, she became a heroin addict. She's still doing the same shit. My husband and I ended up taking,
Still, like
yeah,
now, like now.
yeah, it
That's
breaks my
sad. That's
heart.
like 20 years old later,
I
girl.
know. Trust me. I
That's
know. It hurts me.
sad.
She's my best friend since we were in kindergarten. So
Oh,
she was like a sister. We had the same birthday. But and we raised her kids for a little while. Four of them. We had seven kids under 10 at one point, but that's like a whole nother rabbit hole. But
yeah.
whole nother rabbit hole.
So
But
many rabbit
base
holes to go down.
So I met him cashing his check. It was my day off. My other friend was like, or my coworker was like, "I'm sick. Can you come in?" It was Wednesday. Never worked on Wednesdays. I go in. I guess he comes every Wednesday. Cash his check. Um, we have like this exchange. I had like cornrows in my hair, like old gangster, right? Chick downstairs like did my hair and I was mean as
Oh.
shit. He tells everybody
Oh
this
my God.
story about how I fell in love with her like at first sight, like because
Because she was
he asked me for
mean.
yeah. I'm like that's oh, I'm
Oh my
sorry.
gosh,
I
I
know I'm
love
such a
it.
bitch. I don't mean to be,
I know.
but he had asked me for my number, and I was getting out of that connection, right? And I didn't
Yeah.
feel comfortable, like starting some or whatever, right? So I'm like,
Yeah.
no, but you can give me yours. He's like, is that? Oh, I get it. It's fuck you for. And I'm like, if I want to say fuck you, I'd fucking say fuck you. Now give me your number. And then it kind of
I
went
love
from
how
there.
savage you are. We're a
I give
great
a fuck.
match.
Seriously.
Mm.
He tells it way better than me. But basically, long story short, we got together. I was already leaving my dynamic. He was leaving his. It was New Year's Eve. Random story, random fun fact that we actually got married New Year's Eve in 2009. But back then it was, yeah, we met on New Year's Eve. That's what it was. I was working. No wonder she fucking called in. I just realized that she just didn't want to work. But anyway,
Right?
um,
Oh my gosh. 20 years later, I realized
yeah,
this bitch didn't want to go
uh,
to work.
seriously. But so we get together, right? I'm moving out of my place. We both had a kid. That was kind of what we connected on. He
Oh,
had an
nice.
8 month old. My son was 2. And we just started talking about like staying for the wrong reasons and how having a kid is not like, that's not a reason to stay. And it was
Yeah.
like, I was already hearing this in my head and trying to leave my situation. But after meeting him and having that conversation, it like kind of broke something open inside of me. And I'm like, I deserve better than this shit. I'm going. I'm going to leave, right? So he was in jail. I fucking packed up everything. I didn't call my husband for like 2 weeks. And he was all fuck. I guess he like called his mom and sister after he met me. He's like, I met the girl I'm going to marry. And they're like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like, what are you talking about?
He
And
knew.
I'm over here just like, I don't even know if
Whatever,
he's going to
bro.
remember me. I
Yeah.
waited 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we
It
talked on the
hurts.
phone for like a month, 2 months, something like that. We wanted to like do it different or whatever. So we got to know each other that way. Then went out on our
Nice.
first date. Happened really quick. Got pregnant on 2 forms of birth control with my daughter Lily, like
Whoa.
really quick. And that was like, I mean, we got together in 2004 and we had Lily in November
Whoa.
2004. So
Whoa.
it was, yeah. So basically, um, where was I at? After that, so I left that connection, got into a much nicer place. All of a sudden, I had somebody paying half the bills. I'm like, what the fuck? This is crazy. And so we had three, all of a sudden, I had 3 kids under the age of 4. I went from one
And you're
to
not
like
even
3 in a
25
year.
yet.
Nope. And we had to deal with a lot of drama with his ex. I'm surprised we didn't have to deal with more with mine, but it was just like this whole thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm gonna fast forward. Let's see where else. What have I not mentioned?
So when did you start working in naturopathic, like with
Mm.
Bartlett?
So I had been wanting to get an office job. So it was right before my son started kindergarten, right? Like I was absolutely exhausted. Richard and I were working opposite shifts, and we never saw each other. We were both kind of like, sleeping at different hours. So it was just, kind of living this parallel life. And I was always exhausted. And my son was in preschool, and I would work till like midnight. right?
Mm.
So I like had like the swing shifts. I worked for like from like 3 to midnight. So it was exhausting. I really, really wanted like an office job. I wanted like a 9 to 5 thing. I wanted a more professional job. So I started kind of putting that out in the universe. And I ended up applying for a job, answering phones at a busy naturopathic office, right? And they contacted me back on my cover letter. I wrote something ridiculous, like, which I would never would have said this. Like, what did I say? I wouldn't have forgiven myself if I didn't reach out. And there was something about this ad that called out to me. And then the lady, Cynthia, contacts me, leaves me a message, wants me to come in for an interview. And immediately I heard, now is not the time. And I'm like, okay. So I didn't. And I didn't go to the interview. Fast forward a year later, almost to the day, I had, oh, that's kind of a long story. Basically, my husband and I had broken up. We had been apart for about a year. We were doing all this back and forth shit. I was partying a lot when I didn't have my kids, right? But when I had my kids, I was pretty, um, basically I ended up leaving the job at Cost Cutter at the grocery store, right?
Mm.
And
Mhm.
getting, I got some other job like working at a daycare or something. And I was like training to be like the supervisor or assistant manager or whatever. Um, I ended up what exactly had happened? I'm trying to remember. So we were apart and I ended up finding the book The Secret, right?
Oh
And
yeah, 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 yeah. I remember those
yeah,
days.
and
I
I was
remember those
obsessed with
days.
it.
Yeah,
And I
me too.
figured I was pretty like I don't know if I'd say suicidal, but I was in a really dark place at that point in my
Right.
life. It was probably one of the darkest places that I had been. So I was just feeling kind of fucking hopeless and like my whole life had been turned upside down. It was like this whole thing, right? Like I felt like I lost myself. So I was reading a ton because that's what I do, right? And but I was reading like not, like novels or whatever. And for whatever reason, I come across
Fiction.
that book. Yeah. Come across the book, read it like 3 times, did the little letter to the universe, wrote this ridiculous like thing like I wanted my relationship to come back together. I wanted a job working half the time that I did, but making twice as much. I wanted to help people and I wanted to learn about quantum physics. And then I also
Mm.
went into detail about all of the things that I totally just lost my train of thought. The house. I wanted this house and this specific convertible and all these like, material things, right? So put that letter out there, did the thing, and a couple weeks later ended up losing my job by some freak weird ass thing that doesn't even make sense. I'd never lost a job in my life, but I felt like I was supposed to trust, right? Like so I went with the flow. I got this nudge that I needed to look for jobs on Craigslist, found a job under the part-time thing, answering phones. Again, busy chiropractic office, naturopathic office, did not realize the connection. Went to the interview, did not look at the website, nothing, right? I also wanted to have like the videos or whatever from Rhonda Burns. Like I was obsessed with her, like low level, like stupid, like fan
Yeah.
obsession. Like I thought
Yeah,
she was just
yeah,
amazing. So, I'm doing all this positive thinking stuff, right? And not only did my relationship come back together pretty quickly, I ended up getting this job. And when I get there, right? So I'm having this interview, right? And I didn't look at the website and I didn't know, I knew that he was like a naturopath or a chiropractor, and that's all I knew. And I'm like, it's answering phones, can't be that hard, right? So I get there, and as I'm having the interview with Dr. Bartlett, who is a naturopath, chiropractor, and the inventor of Matrix Energetics and published author. So he interviewed me. I had no idea really what he was doing. He's like trying to like explain it to me, and he goes, you know what, let me just show you, right? And he like does this weird thing. So it's all based on quantum physics, right? He's did this weird thing with his hands, like I could feel like this big whoosh. He looked at me, he was able to tell me all the things going on in my body that I didn't tell him at all, like very like creep me the shit out. But I can't even talk. Creep me out. I'm like, what the
yeah,
hell? Like, this is weird.
yeah.
Um, fix my neck. I couldn't turn my neck that morning. And I remember like, anyway, so like I kind of felt what he did, still was a little skeptical, like, what is going on here? Right. Um, and there was this picture on the wall the whole time, right? Like, and I knew it wasn't his wife because she was sitting, his then wife, like right next to me, interviewing me, right? It's this picture of Richard and this beautiful, like blondish, white-haired woman, right? And felt like it was like staring at me. And I finally, towards the end of the interview, I'm like, if you don't mind me asking, who is that woman that you're in the picture with? And he's like, oh, that's Rhonda Burns, the author of The Secret. We're really good friends. And full chills, full fucking Twilight Zone. I'm like, what? And then I'm like,
No.
I am in love with her. I'm not
Ah,
in
that's
love with her, but
awesome.
I'm obsessed with
You got,
her.
yeah, I'm obsessed with the secret. Yes.
He's like,
Oh,
oh, well, and within a couple weeks, I got to talk to her on the phone. I helped,
stop.
told her my story. She's like, this is why.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so
Their little
cool.
Australian accent helped her daughter, Haley,
Yes.
connect with my boss, who I became his like office manager,
Yeah.
personal assistant,
That's
and did
cool.
that. So that's where I kind of got into the whole, natural based stuff, right?
Yeah.
And through that time, he kind of helped me better understand. He used to call me Yoda, right? Which I used to get
Mm.
super fucking mad. I'm like, ew, like, do I look like Yoda to you? Like, I don't watch Star Wars, so I did not, like, I kind of got it, but I'm like, it's not
Yeah.
funny. Like, you're not
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
Um, but he was basically saying that I was, powerful or whatever. So
Yeah.
I would like
Intuitive.
track him. Right. Like that's what he would say. I would track him. I would go in when he was seeing clients and he'd call me in and be like, hey, what do you notice? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not the doctor. Why am I in here? Like, I don't know anything. What do you want me to do? He's like, just tune in, see what you see. And 99% of the time, because I'm trying to be humble,
Yeah.
I was correct, like on the weirdest things, medical jargon I didn't understand. And so that really opened me up. I lived in that world, that spiritual kind of world
Mhm.
for several years, over 6 years, and learned a ton about quantum physics, got that house that I wanted almost exactly. I wanted a yellow house. It was blue, double cul-de-sac, got the car I wanted. All the things came in, right? But after a while, I started the whole spiritual bypassing thing, right? Like think positive,
Yeah.
don't have negative thoughts.
Yep.
And then I started having like chronic illness, health kind of stuff going on because I thought that I could use like healing modalities or positive thinking to push something away and not go there. And that was a disadvantage, I think. And then I
Mhm.
just had some autoimmune stuff. My thyroid was screwing up. I had like the endometriosis. We were trying to have another baby. I had numerous miscarriages. Was told I could not have any more kids. So I'm like, okay, fine. I give up. That's fine. Whatever. And our youngest was 12 at this point, or 10. Um, I ended up starting to work through some of my emotional stuff because I got to a point. So became a hypnotherapist. I've learned various different healing modalities, pranic healing, quantum touch, Reiki, like all the different things, right? But
Yeah.
there was never anything that really like this is it, right? Like so I've
Right.
always kind of like done my own thing. Even when I, was being mentored by Dr. Bartlett, I was always doing my own thing, right? Like
Mhm.
I just knew weird things and I could do weird things with my hands and people would feel it. And so I was immersed in that world, and it was before there was a big awakening, right? So
Mhm.
remember like 2012 and people like the Mayan calendar thinking
Yeah.
that like the world's going to end. I
Yeah.
kept telling everyone it was a consciousness shift, right? It's a
Yep.
consciousness shift. It's a
Yep.
consciousness shift. And that was true. Ended up stepping away. When I stopped working for him, I saw his human, right? And I think back
Yep.
then in my late 20s or however old I was, it kind of confused me, right? Because I had put him on this pedestal and, people were like, held him in this high regard. And, I saw sides that nobody else did,
Yeah.
right? And
Oh
there was
yeah.
a part of me that felt concerned about, doing the work. And maybe it's not like the right thing with God because I've always had a connection to God, to spirit. I've always wanted to like know more. I have a whole Jesus story that we don't have to get into, but I could just basically say that at 14 I was researching and I wanted to know, and this was like kind of pre-internet, right? Like I went to the library, checked out like 15 books on religion. One of them was The Lost Years of Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
And I, being my skeptical self, was like, I don't know if this dude's real. Like I'm like, if you're real, like give me a sign because this sounds a little, whatever, right? I just wanted to know.
Hmm.
And as I'm asking that, like, and I was completely sober, by the way. I had no drugs, alcohol, nothing in my system. I'm alone. I'm reading this book, skeptical, but like really wanting to know the truth. And I literally look out my window. I had like this pedestal bed that was like the window was like up there. I look out the window and I see this figure. With my these eyes, not like in my mind, floating like in like this long white robe, and I panicked. I'm like, I got super scared. I felt fear. And then immediately I felt this huge rush of love. It's going to make me emotional. This huge rush of love, the full body chills in a way I've never felt before. Like it was like full on, like my heart felt like it had expanded and like open. And in that moment, I just knew. right? Like
Hmm.
I knew that he was absolutely real, that, and I had this moment of just, I guess you could say surrender, right?
Hmm.
I actually shut the book. I quit reading all the books for the most part. I read some, a little bit more, but I felt like I just knew I had to have like some weird experience like in my heart, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I started dreaming about him and I would dream about him. I think it went on for about 6 months to a year. And this was, by the way, before I found Behold a Pale Horse. So I was not super into conspiracies yet. So I was 14. I want to say it had to have been at the end of my 14th year when I found the book from William Cooper. Um, but he started showing me weird things that I wanted to know more about, right? Like I saw this stuff about the Vatican. I saw these people in dark red robes. I saw like this piece, like the Bible in this beautiful like case type of thing. And I saw the guys in the robes like ripping out parts of it. And one of them was reincarnation and it was like in Latin, but I knew that that's what it was. Um, and of course, I'm sure there is darkness in the
Hmm.
Vatican, and there is,
That's a
proof
loaded
that things have
topic.
been, it is, right? That have
Oh
been removed from
man.
the Bible, right?
Right.
So that's where I've always had that connection to Jesus, and it may not
Yeah.
be how Christians or how like, people that kind of fit into like one box, like how they perceive it, but it's always been very real for me.
Mhm.
Like even when I like stepped away from this work and then started doing it again,
Mhm.
I I felt really weird about it. Like I didn't want to do the wrong thing. I wanted to be like a good person. Like I wanted to follow the light basically. And
Yeah.
the more I prayed about it, I had this another Christian who was convinced I was a prophet. And I'm like, okay, like I don't know if that's true, but like because I'd shared with her all these things and she like wanted me to repent. And I watched all of her videos and I did all the research and I was super open and curious. And she kept telling me to pray, pray, pray. And the more that I did, the more that I received the answer that I'm supposed to be doing this work again, but not in the context that everybody else was, right? Like I
Mm.
wasn't going to fit into either box
Mhm.
because I don't believe in, like, I don't do like ritualistic stuff or witchcraft or, any of that spell work. I'm super
Mhm.
weird about it. Are we doing the
Well,
time?
yeah, well, and that being said, the disclaimer that we have, these conversations that we're having are opening up our own consciousness and expanding our own awareness towards having controversial conversations. And we're not saying that this is the way. And you and I have I mean, like, we have differing beliefs, and we're going to have way different beliefs than people that are watching our show and then engaging with stuff. And like through our conversations and through our sometimes we'll have debates sometimes, because obviously this is going to be an ongoing topic about what, about our belief systems and what we believe to be true. We are not going to we're not going to shrink ourselves down for anybody, and we're not
Mm-mm.
going to like that, the person that came in the other day and kind of like you triggered them, and he triggered you, and that was like this whole thing, but that was a learning thing for you. and
Mm-hmm.
and from where I'm sitting, I've been through a lot of stuff, and like I've had my own spiritual experience as well, and I've had a lot of science and different things, and I've fucked with dark magic, I've fucked with manifestation, I've fucked with all of it. But for me, I have found that just relying on God's power and not my own is where it is for me, and like that's the
I think
full
we agree
surrender.
there. Because
Yeah.
honestly, that's
Yeah.
how I feel. I give every, spiritual gift that I never asked for to
Yeah.
God. Like I don't like talk to like aliens. I don't, and I know the whole like
Yeah.
mediumship thing is like
Yeah.
controversial. I even used to be very weird about that. Like I didn't feel comfortable doing it, even though it's something I've been able to do my whole life.
I
But
think it's
when
like an
I
intuitive thing more so than just being like, it's like I think all of us have spiritual gifts,
I do too.
and I believe that like the Catholic topic is so loaded, and like that's gonna be a whole thing. Like, and I would love it if my husband would come on with us and actually like kind of elaborate more, but I don't know if he's there yet. But like I don't know, did you watch Jay Dyer at all? Like anything that I sent you? I'll have to
I don't
send
know.
you a
You have
few
to
things.
send it to me again. Um,
Um, but like there's this whole like there was this whole like schism that happened where that there is a true path, and there is a true path of the original apostolic mentorship, and that is what the Christian Orthodoxy is all about. And I think the Catholics kind of mirrored it, and then they went off into this whole thing. And that'll be a different show because I need to do more research because I'm just a baby in this. My husband's the one that really reads all the time about these things and really knows a lot more than I ever could. And well, not could, but like obviously I'm
I know
not
what you
there
mean.
yet. And I don't want to like say the wrong thing when it comes to that, but what I will say is after my time in doing ritual magic, like I actually used to do candle magic. I used to do like fetish links. I used to do
Which that shit can let dark stuff in. That's the thing. Like I've seen
yeah.
it, right?
Oh
Like
yeah. Yeah.
that's why I don't mess with it. That's why
Yeah.
like I'm very much like whatever comes through is
Well,
from
and I
God,
think
the
that's what I
source,
was saying
spirit, whatever you
earlier
want to
is
call it.
like, so like when I was young, I remember this time I went to church. My mom, we were going to a Protestant church, which is like a mainstream, like family life Christian or whatever. And I remember my mom started speaking in tongues, and I'll never forget ever her going, Shamdala, Shamdomikala, Gore, Gore. And there's like this thought that there's like and I don't know a lot about tongues. I'm still, like I said, if anybody's watching, I'm still super like green behind the ears, like in as far as the word goes. But to me, when I think about tongues, I don't think it's like this weird language. I think it's more of like, for lack of a better word, the channeling of source. But we have to be really careful about where that's coming from because just when we think we know, we don't.
We
And
never are gonna know everything,
well, and
right?
there's deception everywhere. And like the
And the
spiritual world, it's a battle. It's like a
it
battle.
is. I've been saying this forever. I feel like we're in this spiritual warfare against the dark and
We
light.
are. We
And
are. And this is
we are
Satan's
dividing
dominion.
ourselves in a
Yeah.
sense, right?
Yeah.
Like because of differing, I think that's one of the reasons that we both feel passionate about doing this show is to kind of like
Yeah.
bridge the gap. Like we can have different views, we can have different backgrounds, we
Yep.
can have different plans for our lives, but it doesn't mean we
Yep.
can't come together and have
Yep.
a honest, raw conversation without
Yep.
offending each other, right?
Right.
Like it's
Right.
possible to do that. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to, I'm not trying to convince anybody to my way of thinking, right? I'm
No.
sure you aren't either. I don't
No.
think we want to
No.
be like a
I don't.
spiritual like echo chamber, we
No,
want,
no.
you know what I mean?
That's
Like
why I chose you to do a show with me. I like after our first conversation, I was like, okay, this girl can really go down the rabbit hole as far as like conspiracy theories, the truth, the like have like a conversation to where we can disagree and then be like, okay, well maybe what is that bringing up for me and what do I need to go and explore? And what do I need to know more about? And like and then that's like a process of exploration and coming back and reporting what we found and then having guests who challenge our beliefs and
I
guests
love that
that
idea.
and that's what this whole thing was all about because it's like I have this other show, Rise and Shine with Morning Moon, and that is it used to be daily, but I've gotten super busy, so I'm just committing to showing up when I'm able to, like at least 1 to 3 times a week. And my whole reason for doing that show was because the world is so broken. It is so sad. My friend's kid was 18 years old and he blew his brains out like in front of these cops and like just
Oh
out of a
God.
misunderstanding. And I feel like, and afterwards I was like there. And then after that, one of my other friends killed themselves. And it was like, I have been surrounded by suicide. I've been surrounded by people who are just checking their ticket, depressed people, like, and it's like and people who are addicted to drugs, we as a collective need to get really real about these conversations and this discourse and
We
like,
do. It's
um,
important.
oh my God. And so I decided
Even
to
if
show
it's
up.
taboo, right?
Even
Like
if it's taboo, like as I like today. So I don't know if you saw my post about using Chat GPT to
I
comment
did
on
not. I
things.
was looking and
Yes,
I'm like,
I'll
I can't
tag you
find
in
it.
it.
And
I'll
yeah,
tag
tag
you
me.
in it. I'll tag you in it. But I basically came out and I was like, okay, and I know, wait, we've all done it. I've done it. You've done it. We've all done it. We come out and someone has a disagreement with us, and then we
Hmm.
use Chat GPT to speak for us, and then we copy paste in there, or we like edit it a little bit. But instead of using critical thinking and actually using our voice and saying, you know what? This is what I think, and this is the way that I see it, they copy and paste. And it's like they have these whole long conversations. There's no connection. There's no actual like There's
Critical
no
thinking, it
critical thinking.
shifts the whole, like, it
That's the
shifts everything.
point.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah. And this girl came at me, you should see, like, this coach came at me and she was like, well, I think that you're triggering people and you're not being kind or nice or something and you're not coming at it with love. And it's actually the truest form of love is truth. And if it hurts somebody because it kind of like brings something up that like triggers them, we have to explore what that's
why are we
triggering.
triggered? And that's how we heal, right? Is
Right.
by diving in. Like, when I
Yes.
lost, I don't think I mentioned this part yet for
Yeah.
the audience that does not know me.
Yes. Yes.
Um, I feel like it's an important piece of my
It's
story.
definitely.
So I lost my 5-month-old daughter in 2021 to SIDS. I truly believe that it had something to do with the vaccine, which I personally did not have, but anybody that has explored, that the Myrna vaccine and like what it does, right?
The
The COVID
shedding.
vaccine. Yeah. Anyway, I believe that that's why she passed. It was the most devastating thing that I have ever been through in my entire life, finding my I'm gonna get emotional. Finding my baby passed was like I can't even go there. It was incredibly traumatic.
I can't imagine.
It was the worst thing I've
I
ever
can't
been
even
through.
imagine.
And
At your
she was a
home? Were you at
miracle.
home?
Yeah, she was a miracle. Like, so I
Ugh.
think I might have said in 2020, I was joking around like I'm not having a quarantine baby because my tubes were fucking tied, right? Like I had my
Stop.
tubes, not just my tubes were tied, cut, and burnt. I had a C-section because I had to have an emergency one with my son. Then I had a baby, 15 months later. And anyway, that's a miracle in itself too. So we got this big like 12-year age gap between our kids, right?
Mhm.
And I thought I had like cancer. I'm like I'm dying, right? Because like I'm
Yeah.
throwing up. I've got all these like pregnancy symptoms. I'm not going to take a pregnancy test. I only got my tubes tied 3 years ago, right? I had like HG, which is like hyperemesis gravidum or something, like
Yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
you throw up an unnatural amount. So like I was done. I'm like, I don't want any more kids. I'm
Yeah.
good. My
My
body's had
husband has
enough.
cyclical vomiting syndrome, so we're
Oh,
very familiar.
I still get triggered when I vomit. Like it triggers me, like
And you just
because
never stop. You just keep going like The
yeah, it was
Exorcist.
really bad,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was joking about we aren't having a quarantine baby because my tubes are tied. And then find out Father's Day 2020, I finally decided to randomly, it was actually my daughter was like 3 at the time. Um, she's like, Mama, you have a baby in your tummy. She's very intuitive too. My kids are very tuned into something beyond them that I have not tried to like get them to be tuned into. They just are.
Yeah.
But she's like, you have a baby in your tummy. And when she told me, I remember getting just like full, like, oh my God, is she right? Right. And so I run out, I get a test. She was right. We found out we were having a girl a week later. Like I was that far. I was
Whoa.
in my second trimester, 13 weeks pregnant,
Holy.
13 weeks pregnant, which was also my husband's lucky number on Father's Day. So go through the pregnancy. It's great. It's wonderful. It's amazing. Whatever. Right. I'm almost all of a sudden having a baby she was born on 12/22, 2020. Completely shifted my whole perspective on everything. I mean, I was like a workaholic, just starting my business, just a couple years into this business, right? After I'd taken like 3 years away
Mhm.
from this whole thing, right? To
Mhm.
focus on raising my kids and my friends' kids. And yeah, so we ended up, she was non-vaccinated. I wasn't able to breastfeed. Her immune system was still like developing, right? And when COVID happened, as you know, everything shifted and changed, right? And I, I had more clients and more growth in my business that year than any other year combined. I think it was because all of a sudden people are, internalized and they're at home and they're slowing down and they want help. Um, so anyway, we lost her in 2021, June 5th, 2021. I turned into a raging alcoholic for 2 weeks. Not, it doesn't sound like very long, but it was a long 2 weeks. Like I was
I
drinking.
bet.
I could not function. I
Yeah.
was stuck in a loop. Every time that I would pull into my driveway, I would have a full-on panic attack because all I could see was the fire ambulances, the fire truck, and I kept reliving that moment on repeat. And it was like in my nervous system, like this loop.
Ugh.
I couldn't function. Mina, who we both know, who did very similar work to me and is now on the other side. She had actually helped me with using different techniques, just like I do. Her intuition, hypnotherapy. We did some. Oh my gosh, what is the rapid eye movement thing?
EMDR.
Yep, EMDR. Did a whole bunch of stuff. Did all this soul kind of stuff, bringing back the fragmented pieces. that like this piece where I was stuck. Literally, I was completely stuck. So, long story short, basically, I had a couple weeks. My husband and I were grieving completely differently, so that's like a whole thing in itself.
Mm.
Um, and that's one thing I'm really passionate about is helping couples who've lost children
Oh, yes.
come back together because there's like a crazy statistic that after you lose a child, that the couple will often lose the relationship within 2 years because men and women grieve so differently. And then, like I was telling you, I'm also in a course with Derek Hart, who's a relationship vulnerability attachment expert, helps tons of people. So he's my mentor right now.
Mm.
And so anyway, I thought that I understood grief. I'd lost people before, but until I lost my daughter, I did not fully understand the extent of what it was really like, right?
Mm.
And I spent a good 30 days I went into all these like grief groups and I started connecting with other, grieving parents and other grieving people. My husband thought I'd lost my mind because I'm like, there's something about, I just felt seen in there, and
Mm.
it helped me to hear other people's stories. And I mean, I dived deep into my grief. I shared all the taboo stuff all the time. I would write posts. And that's how it kind of helped me like move through it a bit.
Yeah.
And within, and remember, my tubes are still tied. They opened me up and they thought it was the craziest thing because one tube had grown back in a place it's not supposed to be, enabling me to get
What?
pregnant. Yeah. They're like, it's like
Stop.
2 inches from where a tube belongs. I don't know how this
Oh
happened.
my gosh.
One
Wow.
of the things I used to pray for was I would ask God, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it, to help me be whole and complete. I want my body to be whole and complete. And I would say this, like, and do this, whatever thing. And something grew back to make it whole and complete for Soraya to come through. Well, after we lost her, I had a really, really hard time. Like, why would God give me
Yeah.
a child and then take
Yeah.
it? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
Um, and we got pregnant with Ellie. I became a little low key obsessed with having another baby, which I learned later is a total thing in grief when you lose a child, even if your
Oh.
kid's 12. A lot of people go through that. Um, I'm 39, one freaking tube, have a history of endometriosis. There's like very small chance that I'm going to actually get pregnant. Well, I just started praying about it, basically asking if it's supposed to happen, then bring us a soul that can stay this time. Well, we lost her in June. By my birthday, 9/9, my daughter again, same daughter, says, "Oh my gosh, mommy, Soraya's coming back." That was my daughter's name. Soraya's coming back. She's in your belly again. I'm like, what? I take a pregnancy test. I'm pregnant. And
Oh.
so I've had two babies with my tubes tied.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I truly believe my
Do you
daughter
have
sent, yeah, she's
that
three
baby's?
now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's three. So Soraya would
Wow.
be four. They would
Wow.
have been really close in age. But
Wow.
and I have been able to help people who were, I mean, I'm talking dark places like suicidal, marriages were falling apart, lives were falling apart, addicted to stuff, major anxiety, all different types of things. Um, I've been able to help them heal, like, and that to me is like a miracle, right? And by
Yeah.
very unconventional methods. Um, so I ended up creating this grief kind of session after
Mm.
losing my daughter. I worked with about 30 to 40 women for free,
Mm.
in the different grief groups, right? I just kind of like put it out there, and it made me feel closer to my daughter, and like I was using her passing to like have a purpose, right? It helped me
Mm-hmm.
kind of like transform the pain to power, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I worked with all these women, mostly women, for free. And with their help, I created like this grief kind of like program, I guess you could say. Like, because one of the things that was really big is what I believe is that when we experience trauma of any kind, our soul, our energy can become fragmented, right? So then we
Mm-hmm.
operate in our nervous system, right? I'm also like a somatics practitioner, so I'm not just focused on the energy work. I really believe in the whole mind body connection and all
Yeah.
of that. So
Yeah, for sure.
um so basically, what was I saying? So I created these sessions, these grief sessions, basically, and I have helped hundreds of people overcome grief, start to live again. And, I do a combination of like hypnotherapy and sometimes energy work. A lot of times it's my intuition. And basically I notice all the things that had to do with all my clients' nervous systems, right? Like their
Yeah.
nervous systems were in like fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So I got really deeper into somatics,
Mm.
and I bring that in with my couples. I bring that
I
in
love
with,
that.
you know, my regular clients. But basically that's my story. So I mean, there's other stuff, but that's kind of the gist of it. I
Yes,
feel like my daughter's passing really helped shift me into a different person, and I l-
absolutely.
I
Isn't it
just love
crazy how
helping
grief does
people.
that?
So
It's amazing how grief does that. Oh my
it
God.
does.
It's amazing. So I think next week we should talk about grief and we should talk about like, all the different facets of grief and that sort of thing because we kind of hit time today. So man,
Our
this is such a
stories are
good.
so long.
No,
Sorry,
this is
guys.
perfect.
I
No,
hope
no,
I
no,
didn't
no, this
go
is
too
perfect.
long.
No, you were perfect. This is perfect. We both have a lot to bring to the table and we both have a wide variety of experience, but yet we have similar paths, which I thought like it's so cool. It was fascinating for me to hear your story too, because I didn't know a lot of that. And the parallels are just really super cool. And it's really, I think it's totally God led that we are here together doing this
I think so
and
too.
and that we can approach grief and we're gonna go down the rabbit hole for sure, like as far as like conspiracy theories. I mean, you guys talk about conspiracy theory. I will just mention and we have to wrap it up because I have to get going, but like I will just mention like next week I will touch on this whole Ozzy Osbourne, Hulk Hogan, Chuck
Yeah, I want to talk about
Mangione.
that too.
Girl, like there's this whole thing and we'll see what happens with
Send
the
me some
Epstein
videos so I
list.
can catch up on what's
Yeah.
happening. I've been kind of
Yeah,
doing other
yeah,
stuff, but
and like in 2020, to set that context, in 2020, I lost my job because I was quote unquote scaring patients at a
with your
naturopathic session.
piercings or what? What do you
No,
mean?
with my because I called it 2 weeks before because I had gone down the Q rabbit hole and
We have
and
to talk about that because I am not like,
we're gonna
I
go,
don't
we
know
will
enough
talk
about that.
about it. There's two sectors of the Q camp, and part of me is like, I'm now totally black pilled and I'm just waiting. But like honest to God, some of the stuff, like even down to the people dying today, some of the stuff that's happening it's on the Q board. And it's like
You have to send that to me, like whatever
it's
it is. I don't
so
know where the cue
wild.
board is. Like, where
No,
do I
people
find
don't.
it?
They took it used to be off of 4chan on eight, and then it turned into 8kun, and like it's like a whole thing. And I used to be so super super down into that thing that like people thought I was straight up nuts. And but I called it 2 weeks before we closed down. I went to the doctor. I was working for a different naturopath, and I said, "Hey, I know that this sounds totally crazy, but that virus over in China is going to come to America, and the whole world is going to shut down." And I kept telling people, I'm like, the
You
world is
do
going to shut
that?
down. I knew that. Yeah, 2 weeks
I
ahead
love
of
that.
time. And I knew that it was a hoax because I was watching the very first press conference that Fauci had come out and he put hand in coat, which is a Masonic symbol, which means I'm part of the collective. I saw him give hand and coat to Jim Acosta, which sent me down another rabbit hole and
We have to
like
talk about that. You know, my
it's
grandpa was a
so
33rd degree
wild.
Mason, my
That's
great
what you
grandpa.
said. I can't wait to talk about that. We're gonna have to. I have a really awesome friend who, she's down in the Q hole with me too, and she knows all the same stuff I do. And sometimes we debate about it because I'm a little bit more black pilled than that. I'm a total like info warrior, and and like some of the Q people are like Alex Jones is a blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, I have this whole other theory about Alex Jones and about because I actually
Is he
know
like tuned in or what is his
totally.
thing?
I
Like,
think
I
that
don't like religiously watch him or anything.
Oh, I
So
do. He's
I
on,
know him. I
I
don't
have
know him. I don't know why I
InfoWars
said I
on my
know him.
TV right now. No, like, and I actually have like I'm like internet friends with a lot of people who work for InfoWars, and like I've had an interview with Christy Zagami, Leo Zagami's wife. She's so awesome. And he was in the Illuminati. He worked for the Vatican, and like he knows.
Ooh,
And
we gotta talk
ooh,
about that. I'm
girl, I want him to
excited.
come on the show so bad. And I'm like, I'm gonna ask
Do
him, but I like
it.
I don't want to be like, I want to be like, Leah, because like I don't want to be like that because like, I don't know. I really, but I think he would because he's super cool. He's from Italy and like he just got his American citizenship. And I would really love to have him on the show. I'd really love to have Jay Dyer on the show. I'd really love to have quite a couple of the other info warriors on the show.
I'm gonna have to
And
go watch freaking Alex Jones to,
Dude, well, and
yeah,
Jones is like, so I actually have the same birthday as Jones. And Jones, so my theory on Jones before we log off, because I gotta go. But my theory on Jones is that Jones is, oh, did we stop recording? Okay, no.
I didn't.
Okay,
You're
no,
in
it's just
control
my,
of the
nope, it's still
recording.
here. So my theory on Jones is that I believe, oh my gosh, I don't even want to say this out loud. I
Say it.
believe, no, no, no. I believe that him, I believe that Tucker Carlson, Roger Stone, I believe that Elon Musk, I believe that Trump, I believe that all of them are part of a bigger collective that are pushing this, the arrests of the, because there's like the white hats and the dark hats, and the dark hats are people like Bill Gates, Noah Nova, no, oh my God, I can't remember his name. Yuval Harari, all the people of the globalists, like mainly like people, normal people will know Bill Gates. There's this book, it's called The Great Reset. And there
I think
are the
I've read
people of the
that.
UN. Yeah, the people of the UN, like all the people that are pushing the UN, like Jay Inslee, all those like the deep state people, Obama, all those people, the ones that had the hot dog parties, and we'll talk about the hot dog parties,
Yeah,
all
I've
that
known about
stuff.
Pizzagate and all that since
Pizzagate,
like
all,
before
yeah.
2012,
Oh,
before it was
girl.
even anybody knew or was talking
Oh,
about it.
girl.
So
All the
I
Pizzagate
was
stuff.
diving that down those rabbit holes for a
The
long
dark
time.
hats are the Pizzagate people, and like Holly Weird and all of those people, all of like the, the big names. And then there's the white hats, which the people that are trying to, um, they're trying to get rid of the old system and implement the new, because you and I probably know about the Titanic, and the whole
Yeah, and
Titanic thing and the Rockefeller system. So there's a whole
the
collective of
money.
people, the money, and the medicine and the whole thing. There's a whole collective of people that, and YouTube's probably gonna get rid of us here because of all this, but there's a
We haven't
whole,
even started.
we haven't even got
They're
started.
like, get out.
No,
You guys are
there's
done.
there's a whole collective of people who are in charge of the world, and they have all the money, and
13 families, right?
that's right. And they are, I believe that Alex is a part of the other shadow government who is trying to combat that. And we're like, they always say they're playing 5D chess and people like, whatever, whatever. And I'm like, sometimes I get mad and I'm like, okay, where is all this evidence? I don't know about like Trump. Sometimes I'm like, but I believe that Alex is one of us, and I believe that his collective is our people. I don't know about Elon. Sometimes there's some symbolism there that goes around, but I do believe that at least the InfoWars crew and some of those people are trying to get rid of the old guard, and it's all part of a bigger picture. And like normies don't get it. Like I had this one gal the other day who's actually like I can't even, I'm not gonna say who she is, but it's someone that's
Call her
really
out.
close to me.
I'm just
No.
kidding.
She's
Don't,
someone
don't
really
do.
close to me that was like, how could you vote for Trump for the last 2 years? He's promoting human trafficking. And I'm like, full stop, you don't know anything about human trafficking except for the last 3 months of what you read. So like let's start from the beginning there. We can even go down that thing. Like I just like Trump's done more to combat human trafficking than any other president in the United States, or in the world. And if we, take a look at like Santa Muerte and MS-13 and all of these different gangs and like what's going on in Mexico, you have a bigger picture as to what's going on with like ICE. And so people
Hmm.
are like, woo, woo, woo. It's like, you know what? You don't want these people in our country. Like, are you
I
kidding
have
me right
to
now?
say something before we
Yeah.
go because it's so,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna forget it. But
Yeah,
the whole
dude.
thing about the MS-13, it just sparked something. So I had a
Yes.
dream. I had a dream, not like
Yeah.
Martin Luther King, but I had a dream like 3 days or a month before the whole thing with the Venezuelan gangs. Okay. I didn't even know anything about
Yes.
Venezuela or gangs or
Yes.
MS-13. I had no idea what any of that was. I kept
Yes.
having these dreams. I had this dream that this gang of Venezuelans came into this neighborhood where I live and had blocked the neighborhood off and had like rifles and guns and were trying to get everyone out of the houses.
Mm.
And my husband and one of my sons like had my son like went outside. Like I don't know why my husband went outside and like got shot and then my son got shot. Anyway, it was this whole thing.
Scary.
Yeah, and they were like and I like woke up like seriously disturbed. I don't normally dream about like guns and like a whole bunch of
Yeah.
weird stuff like that. But then that happened, like not
Yeah.
here, right? But it
Yeah.
happened in Colorado. And And
Yep.
they were taking over apartment complexes and all this
Yeah.
stuff, right? And
Yeah.
it really was a thing. And then I also had a dream. It wasn't Trump that got shot, but I had a dream 3 days before the first attempted assassination or
Yeah.
second, whatever it was, when he got his ear, that there was this mass shooting, like in some public place, like at a mall or
Whoa.
something. And I remember being super anxious and all weird that day. I just felt like really heavy, like I couldn't get the dream out of my
Well, you
head.
know
Like,
that thoughts
and
and
then it
dreams,
happened.
that's crazy. Thoughts and dreams, we are radios, and like thoughts and dreams are
Yes.
just frequencies that we're tuning into. And so
Hmm.
I'm gonna leave everybody with that because I have to run, but like I would, and we could do this literally all day. But we will come back, everyone,
We
with
will come
more
back.
of this, and we will be armed with some pretty interesting information before we come back. So if you have questions for us, put them in the chat, put them in the group. If you're not in the group, it's on Facebook, down the rabbit hole with Sapphire Soul and Morning Moon. I am Morning Moon, Alissa Sapphire Soul, and together we are just going down that rabbit hole and talking about all the things. And if you disagree with us, cool, whatever. Like
Scroll
challenge, come
on.
scroll on or come challenge us. Get on, come call us out. Tell us what you think. Like we want to hear you. Like let's talk about things. Let's not be triggered. And if we are triggered, let's explore why we're triggered because being triggered
Exactly.
is a just a sign that we need to explore something bigger
Need to
within
grow a little
ourselves.
bit more.
We're all
Yeah.
here to grow and none of us know the answers until we're dead. And that's the whole freaking point, man. Like that's until we're dead that we don't know. And
True
Alyssa,
story.
before we go, have you
Hmm.
seen the movie Interstellar?
Probably not because I'm not super into sci-fi, even though I probably
Okay, you
should
need
be.
to watch that before our next. I'm gonna send it to you.
All
Interstellar.
right.
Matthew McConaughey, watch that. And
Oh my
then,
God, he just ruined a movie for me the other day with freaking chicken. Like I can never
oh
eat chicken. I'm not even
my
gonna
God,
talk about it because
oh
I'm so
my God, no, oh my
grossed
gosh,
out.
wait a
But
second.
okay,
Yeah,
fine. I will
so
go Matthew McConaughey it
go
with.
watch the Matthew. This is a really good movie and it's kind of slow. It starts out slow, but the end of it, just message me when you're done watching it because
Okay.
it's like so wild and you're gonna be like, oh my God. Like when it comes to death, it's gonna really like, it's like cool. Okay, okay,
All
you guys.
right.
I have to
Bye,
run
everybody.
and we will see you next week. We probably are going to be on a different day, so we will keep you informed. Get in the group if you really want to know. All right. Thank you so much, Alyssa. This has been
Bye,
super
my love.
duper fun. All right, and we will connect. I will send you a text message.
Okay. Are we hanging up
Okay.
right now? Both of us?
Well, no, hold on. Let me wait. We're going to hang up on you.